this is very important from a businessman's. People often consider bank and cash balance as their true profit, which is not the case, right? There are certain aspects like you have received advance from your customer, but you are yet to pay to your creditor or supplier. So in that sense, whatever bank balance is there is not your profit.
If you could convert all your business processes to a standard operating processes, there is very less chance that there will be a non-compliance. What he had just mentioned, additional costs will be there like interest and penalties and other things. So you have to identify all your business processes, convert it to the standard operating processes, and it will give you a ace advantage where your business is running in a system approach manner. It's not a person centric.
Hello, welcome all. I am Nitish Kulkarni and I am welcoming you all to the dreamBIG podcast series. Today we are going to dive into two cornerstones of the financial world, that is accounting and taxation. Along with me joining is the subject expert CA Amit Lomte, who is a fellow chartered accountant having 10 plus years of experience into accounting and taxation. Along with Amit Lomte, we have another guest speaker today, who is CA Anup Tabe, who is a fellow chartered accountant. He is an AI expert with ICAI. So let's have a discussion with them. So welcome Amit sir, welcome Anup sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get to the first question. So all the entrepreneurs have this one question in mind, that why bookkeeping or accurate bookkeeping is essential for any small business.
First of all, accurate bookkeeping is a foundation for every business, right? From the finances, like loan to compliances, each and everything is based upon your books of accounts only. So compliances like GST, income tax, and all other related laws, including labor laws as well, are based upon books of accounts. Bankers, investors, and government departments rely on books of accounts only. So books of accounts is gateway to growth and multifold effect in business.
Okay. So coming to you Anup sir, as Amit sir rightly said that it is nearly important to maintain the books of accounts for government compliance purpose. Nowadays there is a concept which is called as data is the new oil. So everywhere we see around that data is most important thing. So from the accounts and taxation point of view, can you please let our audience know or the entrepreneurs know why data is the new oil?
Okay. So in this context, we first need to understand what exactly a data. So data could be a structured data, unstructured data. And with the digitalization and the new era, we are generating a lot of data. And that data is directly not useful. So the decisions will definitely come from the data analytics. So whatever the data collection. So let's take a practical example. If you're collecting the data about the KYC of your customers and you need to identify the repeat customers in a way. So for that, you have to have a raw data and further you have to analyze that data from viewpoint of which are my repeat customer or which are my top customers. This is just an example. Even to the compliances and the bookkeeping and everything, the data, the accurate data, the speed of data, reliability, integrity of the data is very important. So data is a new oil in that way. And there is a counterpart to it also. Government also has a lot of data about the businesses and the transactions because they are connected. All the systems are interconnected. Earlier, before the GST era, the service tax data was not connected with the income tax data. But if you see today, the GST servers and the income tax data is shared mutually with each other. As you can see, there is a statement called AIS which comes in an income tax, which gives the data from your GSTR 3B which you have uploaded to a GST department. So also we need to understand that government is already having like 70-80% data of our businesses. So in that context, doing a proper and correct compliances becomes very important. So let me conclude on that part. Data is the focus and data is the new oil. And we have to work on the data analytics to come to a business decisions on a routine basis.
Right. So as you said that data is very crucial in maintaining the books of accounts. Now here is another question whether this managing data for a small businesses or a mid-sized businesses is that easy to manage, that how they could manage this data into day-to-day operations, because an entrepreneur has to look after many things into his business. He is in charge of his marketing, he looks after his finances, he looks after his production and much more things into his business. Now, while managing all those things into the business, how he could easily manage his books of accounts or his data?
So prima facie, this is like a more of a system-driven question. So whatever the data points, let's talk about the data points, the areas where actually raw data is being generated. So the prima facie responsibility of businessman is to set the data points. Okay, these are the areas I need to record the data. Let's say a customer is coming to you, and whatever the first time, everywhere in a small brick and mortar shop also you see the businesses are collecting the data for the name, area and the mobile number and other, because they want to have a directory of the customers in a way. So prima facie, the raw data collection is the primary responsibility of the any businessman. Then when it comes to the analytics, he can take a help of an expert of that particular subject. If it's not feasible at his end to process the data from viewpoint of, let's say, dashboard, MIS reporting or that kind of stuff. So he can, let's say for the financial data, he can take a help of chartered accountant or virtual CFO services. For marketing related data, he can take a help of a marketing expert. See, this is my data, and on that basis, will you be able to give me some kind of decisions or guidance on the basis of raw data I collected. So the prima facie responsibility is to set a standard operating process of collection of data, maintenance and retrieval. There could be certain data which may not be useful for the future decision. So that can be definitely archived or scrapped in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now my next question is to you, Amit sir, that nowadays there is a concept called as true profit. So many times an entrepreneur feels that he is running the business and he is generating the revenue and he is calculating his profit on his own. But there are some term which is involved in the finance world, that is true profit. So can you please let us, our entrepreneurs, know what is this concept of true profit and book profit?
Right. This is very important from a businessman's. People often consider bank and cash balance as their true profit, which is not the case, right? There are certain aspects like you have received advance from your customer, but you are yet to pay to your creditor or supplier. So in that sense, whatever bank balance is there is not your profit. So there are certain expenses like capital expenditure. You have invested in plant and machinery, right? You are paying interest on that. You are claiming depreciation on the plant and machinery or asset, right? So all those things has to be taken into consideration while calculating the profit, right? So there are, like I said, depreciation, which is non-cash expenses. Similarly, there are pre-incorporation expenses, which you have incurred. So that has to be factored out, which are over the period. Over the period means expenditure, which is going to give me benefit over 1 year, has to be pro rata amortized, right? So coming back to the point, cash balance necessarily need not reflect your true profit, right? So nowadays, cash is the only factor, or cash flow is the only factor which you have to consider while calculating your profit. So in that sense, as I said, you have to take into consideration the non-cash expenses, capital expenditure amortization, right? Similarly, what we can say is all those receivables and payables, which will also impact on your cash profit or the availability. So while taking into any personal finance decision or a business finance decision, you have to first arrive at your actual profit available. One of the case, you have a book profit, right, of let's say 1,000 crores. But in that sense, your bank balance is only 10 lakh rupees. Where is that profit has gone? The profit has been locked into debtors due to unrealization, or you have piled up the inventory, or you have paid advances to your supplier, which has not resulted into material movement. So all those things will have impact on the profitability. So you have to have the book profit as well as cash profit for any decision.
Got it. So my next question in continuation to this question, many times what happens is, always in the finance world, you guys experts advise to the entrepreneurs that they should charge their own salary while calculating the profit, they should deduct the salary. So what is this term? Why should an owner charge his own salary before arriving to a profit?
So you have to arrive at the cost. It is called as a notional salary, right? For identification of my product costing or service costing. In that case, instead of you being a proprietor or partner, what if you have hired someone in your place as an employee? So many proprietor or partners have this habit to have the calculation for the profit or the basic product costing, which is also we suggest while we do the product costing or service costing, we identify and add the proportionate cost associated with each and every manpower. In that sense, maybe family member or own entrepreneur, and then we arrive at the cost profit. This is also one of the point while calculating the book profit and the cash profit. Right.
I hope the audience is now clear with the term, the book profit and the actual profit.
I'd like to add in a continuation to what Amit said. There is very good saying in the finance world and the accounting world. The true test of profitability lies into your liquidity. Unless and until you have the liquid money with you, that cannot be said as a profit. And adding to the point of notional cost, let's say I have retained like 20 lakh rupees in my business. It means that money is with my business and I'm not charging any interest to that business, considering the capital and capital cost we are not considering. If I would have invested that particular money, let's say in a stock market, I would have earned 15%. So that 15% opportunity cost, I have to factor out somewhere while calculating my profit. So that has to be considered. All the notional cost has to be considered always. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So my next question to you is, Anup, what common mistakes do entrepreneurs do while recording the books of accounts?
Okay. So in my recent experience of let's say last 12-13 years, what I have seen, people always not able to, or they choose a wrong accounting software itself, because every domain has a different requirements. Let's take an example of pharmaceutical industry or a person who is running the medical shop or the medical distributorship. So there is a additional requirement, a regulatory requirement is that you have to maintain the stock along with the expiry and the batch numbers. If a manufacturer will come to you, let's see, we need to replace this particular batch. Or let's take an example of automobile industry. Also, there is this batch system works, all the manufacturing goods in that way. So our accounting system should be, while choosing the accounting software, we should visualize what are the future requirements of our business. And we also need to see into the scalability of the software. Let's say I'm doing a business of, this is just a startup. And eventually there is a possibility of high scalability. And if my existing accounting software is not suitable in a way, it's not capable of handling such a huge load of transactions, so that need to be factored out on the day one. Okay, what kind of visualization of businesses and growth and scalability I'm looking at, and the functionality also. Okay, what are all the options I'll require in coming years. So the selection of a proper accounting software is very important, because once you start putting the data into any of the accounting software, it's really difficult to migrate it to another software eventually. So that is the first point. Then whatever the data sources you are selecting for the purpose of accounting, that has to be very data integrity has to be followed in a way ki correct data should be put to the accounting software, because every system works in a way garbage in, garbage out. If you're putting the garbage inside, so whatever the output or the financial reports you are getting, that is definitely of no use to a business person or for the compliance purpose. Then we also have to send the standard operating processes for all the activities. It could be procurement, it could be recording the particular journal entries, it could be the classification of the fixed assets into various groups, because that will have an impact. Let's say it will change the depreciation rate and other parts. So classification, identification of the entries. The most important part what we have seen is the duplication of the ledgers. So while creating the masters, it has to be the process has to be properly followed. Let's say there are 4-5 people who are responsible for the doing the accounting at the ground level, and every person has created a different cash ledger. So that will definitely end up in a situation ki we have to tackle and reconcile all the 5 ledgers, because the purpose of all the 5 ledgers is same. And due to the duplication of the ledgers, or sometimes what we have seen ki one single person, one ledger is created with his individual PAN name and another ledger created is with the name of the business. So there is a person called Ramesh Kulkarni. So one ledger is with the Ramesh Kulkarni and his business name is Ganesh Enterprises, and another ledger is the Ganesh Enterprises. Certain entries are booked to the Ganesh Enterprises and few entries are booked in the individual name. So such kind of mistakes has to be avoided, the master creation. And there are certain errors which happens in the accounting which is offsetting in a nature. If you see the overall picture, you find that there is no mistake, but you have to drill down in a step at the micro level to understand what mistakes has exactly happened in a pattern way.
Yeah. So my question in continuation to you, Amit, that what measures or what steps are essential for a small business to choose a accounting software?
As Anup sir said, regulatory requirements, business environments, and the scalability. Right? If you have a multi-location, then it is advisable to go for a online or cloud-based software which is available. If you have a go down and office, then also online software, cloud-based software is important. Similarly, if you are having any service specific domain, then you can have a standalone software and you can do the accounting from that. So regulatory and business requirements are the essential key points to identify any software. Similarly, what kind of data reports or analytics you can generate, right? So you need not have the multiple data sets, or you need not have the different software to have that reports in place. So your one accounting or financial setup should be able to provide you with your MIS that should help you with your business decision, like make or buy, or should I outsource contract manufacturing. All those things should come from your single point of data. So that will have the ease of decision making. That is the only point.
Yeah. So Anup, as you are an AI expert in accounting, so my next question is to you is how this AI tools and accounting software will be helpful for the small businesses or the entrepreneurs who want to shift to the AI driven accounting softwares or accounting tools.
Okay, so first let's understand gone those days where we were actually dependent on a pen and paper. There was a point in time in my career also, so where we actually have to go to a bank to get the bank statement, and the further manual data entry, a single line by line item has to be entered into any bookkeeping software. In my today's context, if you observe percentage wise also, 95% accounting is fully automated. So let's understand from the banking transaction is a starting point for any kind of accounting to be done. So now the today's softwares are integrated with the bank servers, with the API calls, and they can call the statement directly from a bank server to the accounting software, provided there are certain security protocols to be followed and the credentials to be entered, authority matrix has to be given. So they were able to directly pull the data from the bank server into the accounting software, and on the basis of the narration which is available in that transaction, they were able to identify from which party this payment is done or to whom which party this payment. Let's take example, if a software finds out that there is a payment made to a Airtel or Tata or BSNL, it will definitely identify that transaction as a telephone expenses. You don't have to tell him that this is a telephone expenses. So the software has emerged from a rule base to a smart intelligence kind of base. So it will read the entire narration, it will see the patterns of the transactions, and it will accordingly post the entries. This is about the bank. So we can import the entire banking transactions from the banking system to accounting system. Most of the softwares are capable of doing this nowadays. Then we talk about the sales and purchases, which is our next data entry point. So all your sales, all your purchases, sales comes from your GSTR1 data, which is the sales data available to the GST portal, and purchases come from your GSTR 2A or 2B data, which is the GST purchases technically available. So those data can be again pulled from a GST portal with the help of the APIs into an accounting system, and smartly all the bookkeeping will be done. So if these three major factors are already done, banking is done, sales are being recorded, and all your purchases are being recorded. In the today's GST scenario, there are hardly 5 to 10% purchases which is of a non-GST item that you have to manually enter. The additional bill booking, it could be some small tea expenses or small travel expenses where the GST invoicing is not done. But the rest of the expenses are coming from the portals, and over and above that, you have to enter certain finalization entries. It could be passing of depreciations or booking of deferred taxes, finalization entries, TDS reconciliation. Even TDS reconciliation is done automatically. Entire 26 years can be directly imported to the accounting system to reflect the correct TDS to the correct parties. So this is one part of it. So to conclude on this particular point, 95% is automated accounting. 5% you have to look after. Whatever the 95% already done, you just have to review in a way ki whatever the accounting which is done, whether that is correct or no. Now coming to the next part of this accounting, there are certain technologies like OCR, which is called optical character recognition. So let's say there are certain physical bills you have and you don't have an Excel file or consolidated data for the same. You can just simply click a photo with your mobile and that particular photo can be converted to poster entry in a accounting system with the help of the OCR and Internet of Things. So that is possible because everything is connected and data can be pulled from the multiple sources to the accounting system. So AI has done a lot of work in this accounting part and repetitive task is already gone on that part of it in a way.
As you are. So AI can help you out to ease out your accounting and finances. So Anup, you were mentioning about the AI usage in the small businesses and how they can implement it into the accounting. So my next question is, nowadays the term virtual CFO is in boom. So can you let our audience know or the entrepreneurs know what is this term virtual CFO and how it can be relevant to their small business?
Okay, so basically if we see the audience, what we are looking at, there could be the number of team members maybe around 5, 10, 15, 25 or not more than 30 or 40 people. So in that context, having full-fledged financial department which was led by the CFO may not be feasible. Considering the financial angle to the cost involved for appointing a CFO, then there could be possibility that he may not have that much work for his entire day of operations. Whatever the operations we are looking at, so it just 2 hours of a CFO services will be more than sufficient. So I recommend going with the virtual CFO to save on the cost part of it. And let's have a subject expert involved who is taking care of all the finance department. So finance department includes a lot of activities. It could be budgeting, it could be cash flow management, it could be properly compliances of taxes and time to time filing of returns and various applicable audits and other things. So let it be taken care by a person who is not sitting in an office, but he is working with a different expert team and he is taking care of all the compliances at the minimal cost. And as he is connected with the multiple clients and the industry, and the team itself is updating on a day-to-day basis for whatever the dynamic changes we are seeing into this era of dynamic taxation, what we are seeing. Every day there is something new. And as a business person, it may not be feasible for you to update yourself on the latest provisions. It could be income tax, it could be GST, it could be any other applicable allied laws compliances. So it's better to go with the virtual CFO services. So he will make sure that all your compliances are done properly in a timely manner and with the minimal cost.
Yep. So this is a good concept for the entrepreneurs. So you can use this virtual CFO. This will reduce your cost and also your business compliances will be on time. So for more details, you can reach out to the deAsra Foundation. We have our subject experts who can guide you and you can help you with the virtual CFO for your business. So moving ahead. So my next question in alignment to this is to Amit. How can a small business track of their compliance? How they can keep the track of their compliances or the financial compliances rather? Because at times it happens, as Anup was mentioning previously, that there are a few cases in which we have to look after the marketing, production and all aspects of the business. So at times they miss on the deadlines or the timelines for the compliance. So how a small business can manage its own financial discipline?
Good question. What we have come across in last 20 years of my practice, entrepreneurs do not give a much required importance to accounts, finance and compliances. From their point of view, it is a cost center to them, but they are not in a position to know the importance of timely compliances and which rewards they are expecting, which they can expect from the timely compliances, right? So you have, let's say, investor, you have a bank, you have a government scheme, which are based on certain conditions, like you have complied on timely basis. Let's take a simple example of advance tax, right? If your tax liability is more than 10,000 in a particular year, you have to pay that tax liability in 4 different installments. The percentage has been specified. people neglect that and end up paying interest. So any kind of interest for non-compliance, non-payment on time are going to impact their profitability, right? So entrepreneur must have the compliance calendar so that they can plan their cash flows. In fact, I will say they can plan their holidays and the personal events, right? So that they can have the balance of both, right? Cash flow in terms of advance tax, when it is due, how much it is due. Similarly, in personal, if you say we have an insurance premium or for that matter, school fees, that has to be taken care on a timely basis. So compliance calendar with respect to cash flow and the tax laws are very important. You can use a simple Google Calendar like many tools available. So this will have the less burden, mental, financial pressure that can be handled, but mental pressure and last minute rush will certainly be avoided with a compliance calendar. So we recommend it to have. So, and if you are having a virtual CFO services, in that case, a CFO or the compliance team will send, this has been done, this has been done. So that will be on your dashboard simply. So you need not worry about whether it has been done or not. If it is not done, let's say 2 days before, you can just ask or send a reminder. Now, if you are using AI or system-driven email, SMS or communication will be sent to respective team member and you can expect it. So even if we have a minimal team member size, you can have that in place, compliance calendar.
I'd like to add something to what Amit has said in this context. So for any successful business, what is the most important key factor is the standard operating process. Let's take example of flight. If you're recently taken a flight, you observe all the steps they do. They never skip a step. Each and every step till the flight of starting from your security check to the boarding of the flight and all the security protocols they have to follow. It's not that key, it's written in the some regulatory guidelines, you have to follow that. But there are logic to that. Every step is drafted in a way, it has to be complied every time. So if you could convert all your business processes to a standard operating processes, there is very less chance that there will be a non-compliance. What he had just mentioned, additional costs will be there like interest and penalties and other things. So you have to identify all your business processes, convert it to the standard operating processes, and it will give you a ace advantage where your business is running in a system approach manner. It's not a person-centric. Let's say we are there today or not. It doesn't matter. It's not dependent on the person. It's dependent on the already drafted SOPs. And you can keep on improving the SOPs on the basis of the feedback what you will receive from your routine operations. So that is a key factor here. SOPs are key factors. And once you set down the SOPs, everything will be automatically taken care of and very few and less chances of non-complying or paying some extra amounts in a way. So this is very important in a way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important for small businesses. The combination of AI-driven approach as well as smart accounting and use of right software and tools is useful is what the summary of.
Yes.
So moving ahead, my next question is to you, Anup.
Yep.
Can you give us some more examples related to a business? Because at times what businesses follow is there is a myth that compliance is costly, or this is not going to help to grow my business. Only sales order will help to grow my business. So how is accounting more important from a business perspective, and how it has helped to grow a business or sustain a business?
Okay. So there is very good saying in our the compliance word. If you feel that compliance is costly, then try non-compliance. I'll put it in this way. If you are paying upfront taxes, it could be around 35%. If you're not paid taxes, it could be around 300% of the amount escape. So in a way, we have to understand that doing particular thing on a time is very crucial from overall future and profitability. Another part, this is talking about the monetary part of it. Let's say there are certain ongoing scrutinies and notices from the department, or there is certain non-compliance. You also have to put your time, a valuable time, where this time can be invested for your business growth and other things by visiting the multiple offices, visiting the consultant offices, experts offices, discussing what to put to the case, what replies to be submitted. So in a way, this is very important. We have to be a timely compliant. I understand that. This is what Amit has already told in the discussion. This is a kind of cost center that is not adding anything to your top line, but to maintaining the growth and the top line and the overall net profits, which is our bottom line. So there is in between the cost are involved. And with the proper compliances, you will be definitely able to reduce the cost at the very minimum level, doing the compliances at the minimal cost. That is very fruitful thing in a way to do. Yep.
So doing your compliances in the right time is most important. This can save your time, energy, and cost. So moving ahead to my next question. So most common questions which an entrepreneurs have is, if they have outsourced an CA, a chartered accountant, why would still an in-house accounting is required, or why it is useful?
Yeah, very good question. See, when a chartered accountant or a consultant or a tax expert do the accounting, what he is considering as a parameter, he is considering the regulatory requirement. Okay, what is required by the law? So it could be accounting standards, it could be auditing standards, or it could be a guidelines of our alma mater ICA, or a generally practice accounting systems. Okay. Over and above that, he is looking at the compliance regulatory requirement. Okay, what is required by a GST return? Let's say GST return ask you for the 8-digit HSN or 4-digit HSN. Accordingly, accounting system can be configured. This is one way of looking at the things. So accounting is basically focused on the compliance and the regulatory requirement. But as a business person, there could be some additional data point which is required at your end. My accounting data will not be able to give you the repeat item if I'm not configured in that way. And every time it may not be feasible for a business person to be connect with the CA team or the expert team to get the required data. There will be delays in the decision making. So there is certain data you have to maintain on your own for your day-to-day routine operations and analysis of the data. Because what you will be maintaining as a business person, that could be at the very granular level, a transaction level data or the event level data. What accounting is taking care of all the financial transactions, but there could be certain parameter which do not have any financial angle to it, a non-financial angle. So that has to be recorded at the business end level and has to be reported accordingly and can be used for the future decisions making. So it has to be a hybrid model. Certain data has to be taken from a CA's office and certain data has to be maintained, generated and reported at your end, like that.
Yeah. So my next question is to you, Anup.
Yeah.
How is AI helping these entrepreneurs with a system-driven approach in maintaining the books of accounts, and whether every business should adopt these AI tools, and why is it necessary to adopt them, the AI tools?
Okay. So with the help of artificial intelligence tools, now the data prediction and data analysis, which was earlier the forte of an expert, that can be done with the layman's understanding. And there are a lot of various tools available for the various routine activities when it comes to the finance and accounts of that particular business we used to do on a day-to-day basis. So that can be fully automated with the help of the AI tools that we need to understand. So I'll put it in a different way. Whatever the problem statement you have, let's say you planned for 15 days travel in this month as a businessman. And I understand that it could be being a small business, you don't have a personal assistant who will update your calendar for the next month. So you can ask a AI assistant to update your calendar basis the dates you have drafted. This is just again non-cash item. A similar level, there could be reminders you need to send for the recovery of money from the customers. So that can be automated. And the system will smartly say that this fellow has already paid the amount. So next time while sending the reminder, it will only send a reminder to those people, the one who has not paid the money. Or it could be sending flyers or creating some digital marketing content. So that can be done with the help of the AI. So the time can be reduced and it will be very cost effective and you are able to roll out on an immediate basis the things. Yeah.
So in continuation to this, in the taxation part, let's focus on the taxation part. So my question to you is, Amit, nowadays GST is of utmost importance and there are many myths going around regarding the GST. So can you let our audience know or the entrepreneurs know that how GST is important into their business?
Right. GST is important in a business in a way. There are certain funding schemes bank has float. So based on your GST filing, they are giving you the working capital limits. Similarly, MSME has a very good scheme under uh, subsidy schemes. So those are based on GST and income tax filing, right? Timely compliance will give you benefit for a vendor registration as well. There are, during the vendor registration process, many of the companies are checking your GST compliance calendar, whether you have filed it correctly, whether you have filed it on a time. So your vendor and your client or customer have the online data available. So they themselves can decide whether to go with you or not. GST compliance will benefit, as I said, from a banking point of view, vendor and client point of view. Similarly, due diligence, if you are looking for an investor or parting your shares or equity, that fellow will start from your compliance due diligence itself. Similarly, in GST, classification and the rate identification is also utmost important, right? Because if you are charging incorrect rates, that will also impact your GST liabilities, right? That if your rate is, let's say, 12% and you have charged 18%, there is a provision. If you have charged extra, then you will be penalized. If it is 12%, you have charged 5%, then also you will be penalized. So first and foremost, going back to the basic, GST nomenclature, accounting systems are backbone of every business. So this is how the GST compliance will help you out.
So in continuation to this, many times why the entrepreneurs feel is GST important is for getting the bank loans. Now the question here is why accounting and taxation is important, whether it plays an important role in getting the bank loans or generating finances, not only from the banks, but from the VCs or from the private lenders, or how it helps to small entrepreneurs.
Right. I'll give you a live example which has happened recently in last month. Our company is only 1.5 years old and which has been acquired or taken over by US company. Only because whatever they were asking, we were in a position to reply in a one-day time, because our data, our workings, our reports are readily available. So that builds the confidence of an investor on the investee, that yes, company is really compliant, there are no manipulations. So it's a first impression on the investor or the bank. If you are taking too long time to revert on a particular query or a documentation, that creates a impression that this fellow is not organized or the organization is not in a place, right? So in this, as I said, this is a live example. So this will help you for preparing for a long term. So you have to have your accounting working and compliance on a timely basis.
Okay, so next question to you is Amit. Nowadays, government is promoting ease of doing business, and what that actually has helped entrepreneurs. Can you throw some light on that?
Right. Okay. Now government has changed the definition of MSME. The threshold has been nearly doubled for every category. So that from the business point of view has helped entrepreneurs a lot. Similarly, government is revamping the GST monthly returns working as well. So they are making every reports available in every due dates or on a monthly basis, so that the reconciliation can be done on a regular basis. Similarly, increase in thresholds of a new tax regime, or increase in the tax exemption limits or the new tax has impacted, benefited every entrepreneur as well as employee in large way. So what has happened due to increase in threshold limits of MSME, benefits which are available only for small, now that number of entities which were eligible under the small has increased. So MSME benefits such as subsidy, decrease in interest rates, in a way is going to help the business to grow their profit margin or easy available of funds so that they can grow. Increase in tax slabs or decrease in tax rate, you will be available with more cash flows, so that either you can invest for a business, so which will give you returns, or you can invest in a personal capacity, which again going to give you more returns, right? So government is also focusing on a MSME, so that MSME consider roughly 60 to 80% of our overall business. Why government is promoting tax intensive to MNCs or big manufacturing companies? So that once that main plant is set up, all the ancillary uh, mechanism comes into the place. Similarly, government is promoting tax incentives in a rural areas, so that those can be developed. Now metros and the tier 1 has already been saturated with the employment, availability of space, and the rates are skyrocketing. So to distribute the load on systems, government is coming up with the various tax efficient matters.
I'd like to add certain points to the discussion. What is the ease of doing business? So as you're aware, the new direct tax code is on the way. So they have already come up with the draft for the same. The basic logic behind increasing the slab, what Amit has already explained, they want to give more disposable income in the hands of the individuals. So that can be further circulated amongst the economy. Let's say in a upfront way, you are paying, let's say, 20%, 30% or 25% as an income tax. But there could be possibility that if the disposable income in your hand increases and you are going with some luxury car, in a way you are paying around 48% tax in the form of GST. So that has to be noted. That is the way. We have recently seen the GST collection has crossed multiple times more than 1 lakh crore. So what they are trying to put, whatever the dent which is coming due to the reduction of the income tax, that is being covered with the help of the GST. But GST is a voluntary choice, wherein income tax is a mandatory thing. If you are earning so much income, you have to pay that much. But when it comes to the GST, the one who want to consume certain additional components, it could be a service, it could be a goods. So the further tax can be collected by the government on that part of it. With the new direct tax code, they are basically promoting the new tax regime for the individuals also. So they don't want to get into your books and verify whether you have really paid tuition fees, whether you have really paid the LIC insurance amount, or whatever the eligible criteria, the ATG donation part of it or something like that. So all the deductions they are not looking into. With this ease of thing, you just have to, what you have to do? You just have to declare your income and pay the tax as per the slab, because there are no deductions available as such other than certain special deduction like NPS by employer, and 1-2 line items are there, but like around 40, 50, 60 deductions are already gone out of the calculation. So that we need to understand in a way.
So my next question to you is,
Okay.
how financial budgeting is helpful for small businesses?
See, whenever a new business person comes to me, I'll start with the line, boss, you're going to start a new business. Okay. You must have thought of something. I'm going to have this much sales. That is the cost involved. That is the additional cost I need to incur for the day. And that at the end of the day, you are doing this business for the sake of net profits. Am I correct? Let's say you're trying to put 10 lakh rupees as a capital. And if you're earning 4% or 3% as a net profit, so isn't it good to keep that entire money in a fixed deposit and have an interest-free, risk-free income? So your business has to be profitable on the paper first. So you have to do a predictive analysis. What could be a trend analysis I am looking at? What are my future top lines? Top lines means all your revenue. Whatever the sales you will, or the service industry, depends on the you. On that basis, you have to also factor out the inflation. So 20 years down the line, the vada pav was costing around 5 rupees. Nowadays, there are certain stalls which set the vada pav, let's say, for the 30 rupees. This is due to the inflation, increasing the rates. Okay. So whenever we are predicting the budget for particular business, as regards to the top line also and as regards to the cost also, we have to factor out the inflation. That is the most important thing. There are certain things which is beyond your control. We call it a contingency. Okay, let's take a recent example. There are a lot of government regulations which changes the way business is being happening. Okay, so with the change of the rules, the business will definitely change, and there are certain contingencies to be provided for. So what I recommend when are doing the actual budgeting for your business, whenever you are predicting your top line, you have to be little pessimistic in a way. You cannot be boss matlab, when let's say you're assuming that your turnover for the next year will be around 20 lakh rupees or 40 lakh rupees. So I'll recommend you go with the 35 as a conservative figure. So you have to be little conservative when you are predicting the top line. But actually when you are predicting the cost as such, then you have to be more optimistic. So you're planning to spend 10 rupees for a particular item, then you better assume that there could be a 20% factoring of escalation cost will be there. So to plan your budget, so that is one part of it. You have predicted what could be the 5 years financials down the line, or it could be a monthly budget. Okay, next month I want to target this one. So that is your target in a goal. So you can at least try in a way. At the end of the month, you have to actually see from the current accounting system what kind of variances. Variance is a difference. I assume that next month sale will be 10 lakh rupees, but my actual sale is 5 lakh rupees. So either my assumptions are wrong, or I am not putting my 100% effort into getting to that 10 lakh rupees figure. So you have to find out the reason and come up with the analysis on that. What need to be done? Either I need to revisit my budget figures and come up with the correct, better budget, or I need to put more efforts to how I can increase the top line. Same is applicable when it comes to the cost also. Either you can do a cost cutting, cost budgeting, or you are predicted the cost itself in an original way in a wrong way. So you have to revisit the budget again. So this is an improvisation. Every time you see a variance, either you have to change the budget, or you have to look into the ground level problems to what exactly is happening, what factors I have missed out. Because with the help of this, you'll be able to grow in a very good manner. Budgeting and tracking of the budgets and analyzing the variance is very important in a way for every business. It's not about the size. Even if the Fortune 500 companies also do this activity on a continuous basis. What kind of predictive revenues we have in the coming years, what kind of cost we are anticipating and all that. So this is a very important, budgeting and variance tracking. It will help you to grow in a way, in a structured format.
Yes. So as you rightly said that budgeting is very important. And so my question to you is, what an entrepreneur should budget for? He should budget for a duration. When I'm talking about a duration, whether he should be projecting for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So what is your recommendation as an expert? And how much years he should budget or he should plan his business in arrow?
So in this regards, I'd like to say, if you're a startup without experience, you don't have a previous experience of doing a business. So the first point will be you better budget for your next 1 year only. And on that basis, you improvise that model once your first year is over. And if you're already a existing businessman and you want to implement this budgeting activity, then you at least project for 3 to 5 years. Yeah. And you can also break it down into a monthly basis. You are not able to reach. There are certain seasonal businesses. Turnover for certain months is on a higher side, and there is a slack season. So there is a pattern to that. So you can predict on that basis. So you could have a granular level data, like a day-wise data also, that can be further consolidated to a month-wise data, and month-wise can be consolidated to a yearly. But for a startup, you better predict for at least first year. And for existing businesses, you better predict for 3 to 5 years.
My next question is, how frequently and small businesses should track their budget? So whether they should daily look into the budget versus actual projections, because previously we were discussing that the entrepreneurs don't have that time to manage everything every day. Okay, so their main focus is on the production and sales when it comes to the manufacturing or the service industry on the service. So how frequently they should monitor their budget with the actuals? Whether it is monthly, they should visit a quarterly, what depending on the size of business, what is the timing or frequency to visit the budget, and what is that alarming situation that when an entrepreneur should approach to the subject experts or the chartered accountants?
Again, if you are a non-seasoned business person, you recently started the business, so I recommend you better track on a monthly basis. That is very important, because 30 days is a sufficient time to have any kind of changes to the top line and the cost. And if you're a seasoned business already, let's say you're since last 10 years into a business, then in that case, even a quarterly review of the budgets is more than sufficient in a way. Yep. That is, again, that depends on the domain, what kind of business you are into and what kind of industry trend it's seeing. let's say government has come up with certain changes, and that changes, it could be changes from GST or changes from income tax or changes in the FDI norms or changes in the doing of business. If that is directly going to have a hit to your top line, you should then on that particular point in time as a special event, you should consider that point as a review of your existing thing. So I'll put it this way again for the simplicity. Every year the budget comes on a 1st February. Okay. So if we have the frequency of a quarterly visiting the budget, our last review is done in the month of December and our next review is done due in the month of March. Okay. But my budget came on 1st of February. So I should revisit my budget and factoring of all the figures considering the changes from the budget. Or any GST meeting, GST council meeting. Nowadays, the changes to the GST are not coming from the budget. They're coming on from the council meeting. So any council meeting is happening and that is having an impact to your particular industry. Then you also have to factor out those components to your top line and the cost.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my next question to you is, Amit, what small entrepreneurs should keep in mind when it comes to the financial discipline for their business?
First and foremost, if you're running a business, you must have your current account. The common mistake what we find, they start their business in their saving account itself. The banking norms, income tax norms, and all other regulatory requirements, if you are running into the business, there has to have a current account through which you should route your business transaction. That will serve two purposes. All your business transaction, receipt and payment will go through current account, and all your personal expenses will route through your savings account. That will have your clarity. If we can revisit our cash profit. So my profit is coming from my business activity. So from current account itself, I can have my revenues, I can have my expenses as a thumb rule, and I can identify whether I'm making profit or I'm making loss. So you must have your current account and your personal expenses should be routed through your savings account. Secondly, as Anup said, you must monitor your budget and actual variances, right? When you are starting up the business, or even if your business is doing very good, avoid impulsive buying. Make sure you ask your 100 times whether that is going to add any value to my current business or my personal wealth, right? So depending upon the result, you can have the decision. Similarly, if you want to expand your business, so ask yourself, is it really required that I should buy a machine, or I can get that manufactured who already has a machine, right? So in a way, having machine will going to have the additional cost to it. Instead, even if you pay some percentage extra to existing manufacturer, all the hassle, all the headache will be looked after by him, right? So all these small points, right, will have the impact on a growth business. Have clarity. Whatever investments, even if you are making, try to have it in a either or survivor name so that the operations can be done in a simpler way. Business transactions through your current account. This is first and foremost step for any business.
Yeah.
So I'd like to add, on the same lines what Amit has said, the question what you asked, like, I'd like to add, you have to differentiate between luxury and necessity. That is applicable for your personal thing also, and that is applicable for your business also. So let's understand with the example. You're traveling somewhere. If you could go with the economy class, there is no need to buy the business class tickets, because what Amit has clearly said, that is not going to have any kind of value addition to my top line. That is just increasing my costs. Okay. So the impulsive buying decision, if something is not required for your business, let's say you are okay with a small place, why you're shifting to a bigger place of a business if it's not at all adding any kind of value addition? There is a very good saying in the personal finance. If you cannot afford that thing twice on an immediate basis, let's take an example of a phone. Okay, a business person want to purchase a phone for the daily routine users. And if he's going for a phone worth of 1.5 lakh rupees, so he has to ask to himself, if this phone breaks, am I able to afford that phone one more time on an immediate basis? That question has to be asked to herself. So it will definitely have a clarity between whether that is a necessity or that is a luxury in a way, because due to this no cost EMI structures and other things, nowadays it has become very easy to get the products on a but that will have a dent to your overall cash flows, even in a small way. So EMIs, we think it's a 36 months EMI, it's a 40 months EMI, but you're not understanding in a way that 24% interest is already factored out into the EMIs, and that kind of finances we cannot afford, because we are not earning 24% with the our existing business structure. So that need to be factored out. So the point here is that wherever possible, please try to avoid those high rate finances which is embedded into the product itself and which cannot be seen on the front of it. So we have to clearly identify, is this really necessity? I cannot run my business without that. Then only you can go for such kind of expansion, expenditure, additions rather. Other way around, you can keep it, you can postpone the decision, and it depends. Whenever you have a cash flows, you can definitely do that. Same is applicable for the personal finance also. Same is applicable for the business finances also. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a very good point for our audience. Many times we have the suggestions for our personal finances, but similar suggestion is for the business finances, that be aware of such hidden costs, such EMI traps, and get the right business decisions, and avoid impulsive buying for your business. So with this, I would like to open up for any concluding points.
Okay, so first and foremost, accounting, taxation, compliance is a backbone you have to understand, right? Your accounting starts when you have business idea, not when you actually start the business. Like there are certain pre-incorporation expenses nowadays. You look for a domain name first, which is available or not. So that cost also needs to be factored out. Third is having a current account for your business transaction, having a savings account for your personal transaction, preparing budget, not only preparing budget, but comparison, finding out the variances, looking for a cause, having expert for that particular subject matter, so that you can concentrate on your business and you can manage that cost, or let's say virtual CFOs, whoever looking into it. So these are the 5-6 points one must consider while doing the business.
Yeah. Anup sir, your conclusion.
So again, I'll say I'm a person of more of an example. Let's go with another example. There is a device called iPhone. Everybody knows about it. So most of the components are not manufactured by Apple. Apple is only responsible for the design and the technology and the innovation. As you are aware, the screens are being manufactured by the Samsung. And what we understand, Apple and Samsung are cutthroat competition. They are competition to each other in a smartphone industry. One is running the iOS and another is running the Android. But this is not that way. They are into a collaborative working way. If you're expert at something, if you're not expert at something, let me not do that work. Let me outsource that work and let me focus on my core competencies. So how do I increase my top line? So sometimes it's better not to run behind the cost. How do I reduce? So it's not that everything will be done at my office internally. So we have to understand that's like a contract manufacturing, what Amit has already mentioned in our era. You have to focus on your core competencies and rest can be outsourced. You don't have to be best at all the things. You can find the best people who can do that work at very minimal cost for you and get that thing done from those people. That is one part of it. Another point I'd like to emphasize on, you have to keep your eyes, ears open, because information is flowing from the various sources. So first of all, you have to identify a trusted sources of information, because there are a lot of information is being dumped on you and you cannot go blindly trust that information and take your decision on that. So to make sure that whatever the information sources or data points you have, that should be the authentic, integrated and the correct one. And you have to keep yourself dynamic. Otherwise, you will become a dinosaur of today. You have to embrace the whatever technology which is on the way. This is the best example of artificial intelligence. If you assume artificial intelligence, the ChatGPT is just a 2.5 years baby. And what capabilities it has. And it's changing in a day-to-day basis. It's very dynamic. Recently, there was a Google I/O event, 1.5 years, and they have demonstrated what kind of AI capabilities it has. So we have to keep your eyes and ears open. We have to keep learning. Keep self-upgrading, keep some time for your self-upgradation. It could be your domain or domain which is allied to you. So again, with the example, Steve Jobs, one fine point of time attended a course for a calligraphy, and there were friends like, why you're attending a calligraphy? You're a computer engineer, computer expert. Then eventually he introduced the fonts into the computers. So you have to connect the dots. Whatever you are doing, that has to be ultimately impacted to your top line and for the business growth. And you also have to, along with focus on the networking part of it. So there is a saying in the finance, your net worth is average of net worth of 10 most people you spend your time with. So again, you have to see the network where you're spending your time, what kind of people you are interacting and all that. That is very important in a way. Just to conclude. Yep.
Yeah. So moving to the last part, let's gear up and have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
We have to move very quickly. So my first question is to you, Anup. How soon should I start accounting or bookkeeping since I launched the business?
You should start the bookkeeping the day over the coffee when you discuss with someone, boss, I'm planning to start this business.
Okay. So next question is to you, Amit.
Yes.
Should I hire a full-time accountant or outsource this activity for my business?
It depends on the complexity, but it is always advisable to have an expert.
So should a small business track petty cash separately or include it in the main accounts?
It has to be included in main accounts because sometimes petty becomes very big and it ruins the business.
Okay. So next question is to you, Anup. What is the simplest way to reconcile the bank statement?
You can have your daily transaction sheet maintained at your end, and that has to be reconciled at the end of the month.
What's the best way to keep track of unpaid invoices and receivables?
Excel, there is no other option right now.
Which financial report should small business owners check weekly?
Top line, sales, recovery, and outstanding. These are the 3 important points.
Which accounting mistake causes the biggest cash flow surprises for growing your small business?
You feel that you have a cash flows when you buy something, that is something should be avoided.
Okay, next question to you. How can a business ensure compliance without getting overwhelmed?
SOPs.
So next question to you is Amit. How often should GST returns ideally be filed to avoid penalties?
Monthly.
What are some easy to use accounting tools or apps that small business can start right away?
Again, it depends domain to domain, but you have to keep searching on the data available on the web sources, web available data. And you can also see the demos of the YouTube videos. And accordingly, you choose a applicable software to yourself.
Yeah, thank you for watching the podcast. I request you all to please do share, like and subscribe. Also keep commenting on the podcast with your views, your thoughts, and keep letting us know what you need under the dreamBIG. Do visit deAsra platform for the dreamBIG initiative. It's www.deasra.in.